Cities are changing the rules, and if you're still running rental arbitrage the same way as you did in 2019, you could be losing thousands of dollars overnight. We're gonna show you how to structure regulator-proof deals, automate your operations, and scale without getting shut down. In the next 15 minutes, you'll get the exact contract language, the city-friendly playbooks that we're using, and real KPIs we use to flip a risky short-term rental into a sustainable legal business. Let's get into it.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Michael, guys. We teach Airbnb arbitrage that actually survives regulation, not just your rent and list hacks.
Today, we're gonna give you a step-by-step playbook to help you pick the right market, sign the right lease, and structure a STR-friendly operation, price with AI, and really just be able to scale without blowing up. Two things happened this year. One, demand recovered, ADRs are up in most markets, creating a revenue tailwind for short-term rentals. AirDNA's 2025 trend report shows that occupancies are stabilizing, ADRs are rising modestly in US markets, and the market is usable right now.
Two, guys, city governments are clamping down. From seasonal caps to owner occupancy rules and registration requirements, a lot of places have new restrictions. That's just how it is. Bloomberg and legal analysis are showing enforcement is increasing. That's why the rent and list arbitrage is getting riskier. If you don't design for regulation, you're not scaling, you're just gambling.
So the opportunity is there, but the path has changed.
Guys, stop chasing the overpriced coastal markets. I say it all the time. Look for your regulation-friendly growth markets. You know, like your small cities, your suburbs, any of those emerging leisure towns where STR rules are developer-friendly or just regulation-based, not complete outright bans. Because AirDNA's 2025 list shows small cities and suburbs are growing the fastest. Those are the targets, guys. So a quick tip for you, filter the markets with rising ADR and low enforcement history on the public records.
And Michael and I both know this to be so true. This is make or break. You have to have a lease addendum that is going to be city compliant and also that you can get the landlord to agree to. So what Michael and I have done is we've made sure that we have a 60-day exit clause. Also, if the city were to change any regulations, we have an exit clause for that. That's 15-day exit, penalty free. And then also we need to make sure that we have an additional exit or even an additional clause in there if the property were to be sold. We need to make sure that we are protected and our lease is now transferable to any new owner.
Awesome. And guys, also, I came up with a 2-sentence opener that you can send to a landlord as well. If you're trying to intro that or have that right intro. You know, think of it as we're a hospitality operator handling all of your tenant screening, your furnishing, and your management. Think about it. We're going to carry the full liability coverage, provide you the tenant references, and just guarantee you that monthly rent on time. That way, when you bring up a lease addendum, it's no issue because we've already shown the value we're going to provide. But also, guys, we want to think like the city when we're doing this stuff. Think about the registration, your occupancy taxes, having a safety protocol for neighbors, and just having those proactive inspections. I think Jack and I like to do is create a community safety packet for the neighbors. It gives a 24/7 contact and a QR code, and that alone right there will reduce any complaints that you get, and it looks great if the city does ever decide to inspect it.
This is so important. Make sure that you automate compliance. We want to make sure that our time is able to be focused on acquisitions, and automating compliance is one of the ways that we can do that. So what Michael and I have done for our Panama City beach properties, since the taxes are not remitted through Airbnb or other platforms, is we've now set up auto pay and make sure everything's filed with a virtual assistant.
Another thing, guys, we do is use dynamic pricing plus a little bit of direct booking. For dynamic pricing, we're using Price Labs to make sure our pricing is always optimized and competitive with the market. Also, guys, what I told Jack is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Use different multiple listing platforms. You know, don't just stick to Airbnb. Use VRBO, use booking.com. Spread your listings out so that way any, maybe a negative review comes by or anything happens with the property, it's not taking your whole property because you have other platforms where you're leveraged out on.
Here's exactly what I would do in the next 72 hours if I'm looking to build my portfolio and really get that first deal. So starting today, being day 0, I would really look at different markets that I'm interested in investing in and making sure that I'm going over deal analyzer softwares like AirDNA, Price Labs, B&B Calc, and checking not only the regulation, but also checking the market growth. Where do I see the most growth and in what market? And is that within proximity to me? Do I feel like I can start my portfolio here? And then really day one, which would be tomorrow, I would use this exact landlord outreach script. So I'd pick up the phone and say, hey, my name is Jack. I run a short-term rental management company. We offer guaranteed monthly rent, full insurance, and we take care of all tenant issues. In addition to that, we'd also like to introduce you to a short-term rental addendum that not only protects you, but protects me as an operator. And then I also add this as well. Your property is our business. So in order for us to run a 5-star business, we have to keep your property in 5-star shape. Automatically, that landlord's guard's down, and now they're open to really working with me. And on top of that, we need to make sure that we're all on the same page. So making sure that the landlord understands our addendum, we understand liability, they understand liability, and now we can go ahead and sign and secure a lease. So then after that, day 3, which would be the day after that, I would make sure that I'm registering with the city. I understand what permits need to be in place and how I can actually comply with any city regulations. Because ultimately, this is gonna help us run our business legally and take any additional risk out that doesn't need to be in there. And then lastly, just making sure that we're checking with the neighbors to make sure everyone's compliant. And if you do these things, now you're well on your way to really building out your portfolio.
And guys, if you want to learn how to start or scale your Airbnb business, the link's in the description. Book a call with us and let's talk. Real quick, I'm going to recap a few things that we talked about. Number 1 being the market. Remember, let's target small cities and suburbs with ADR growth. Light restrictions and no bans. We want to stay away from anywhere that is banning STRs. Number 2 is the lease. Let's make sure we're getting explicit permission. Make sure you're protected and have those guaranteed rent clauses, right? Number 3 is going to be compliance, guys. We want to make sure we register this property, we post our permit, we have our neighbor packet done, we're making sure we are remitting our occupancy taxes. And for operations, we're going to price with dynamic tools. We're going to try and convert 10 to 20% to direct bookings, and again, automating the remitting of taxes.
And again, some of those KPIs that we need to be tracking on a regular basis, obviously occupancy, obviously ADR, but more importantly than both of those, it's that top line revenue. What is our property bringing in? So after we've started performing, our property started performing, we need to understand what is our revenue and what was our target. And then also, kind of like Michael was talking about, making sure that we're getting 10 to 20% of our bookings coming from direct bookings. Guys, this is so important, because if we're solely reliant on just Airbnb, then if Airbnb shuts down, we have no more business. So everything that we've talked about is just protecting our portfolio and making sure that we're heading in the right direction. And guys, if you found everything that we've talked about today to be very valuable for you, hit subscribe. We release stuff every single week just like this. So drop one thing that you're gonna change about your Airbnb arbitrage business in the comments. If you want us to review your lease, no fluff, no legal red flags, click the link and book a call.
Guys, again, we built this business to outlast those cycles and regulations, not to just rely on the lucky markets. If you do it the right way, I promise you, you'll sleep better at night.